Last March, Qatar put 28 people and entities on a terrorism list, which included several Qatari nationals. Some of these people had already been on an Arab list before. Why did your government delay putting them there?
Well, this is not entirely accurate. The idea of having designated lists was new altogether. And as a matter of fact, the Qataris who were on the list, 4 of them to be very precise and specific, were already under watch because they were under the Security Council designated list, and all of the measures had been applied on them actually years prior to designating them.
But when the Arab states put them on the list, you said the charges were baseless.
No, that's not accurate. Let's put things into context. June 5th, 2017, 4 blockading countries, 4 Arab countries decided to blockade Qatar.
No, we understand that. We understand. Yeah. I'm talking specifically about these 28 people and entities.
Yeah. So to put things into context again, when they did that, when they blockaded the country, when they expelled our people from their own countries, prevented them from access to Mecca and Medina.
No, I understand. I don't want to go through the whole history of the blockade.
So what they did then is they wanted to have an excuse. So they have put forward many accusations around terrorism, etc. We said that those accusations were baseless, and this was our position.
In April last year, Washington's Near East Institute gave evidence to a House subcommittee on terrorism, when it said Doha had been less than forthcoming on the issue of prosecuting terrorism financiers in Qatari courts.
You know what the issue is? You're quoting a think tank in the US, but you're not quoting the State Department, which said that the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Qatar and the US puts it ahead of its neighbors, including Saudi and United Arab Emirates.
Well, for a long period of time, the State Department has had quite a few reservations about it. Let's go through the history. In 2009, a classified cable from the US State Department to its missions in the Gulf pointed to your disinterest in the subject. Qatar has adopted a largely passive approach to cooperating with the US against terrorist financing, it said. In February 2007, two years earlier, former US Treasury official Daniel Glazer said Qatar had not yet made the kind of fundamental decisions on combating terrorist financing. These are hardly glowing endorsements of your position on terrorism.
But the only issue with the question is that it sheds light on some facts and ignores completely other facts, including the Memorandum of Understanding with the US, including the fact that the first legislation we had against terrorism was in the year 2004.
You can always sign pieces of paper, Lولوه, Qatar, but if you don't do anything about them,
we do.
They're meaningless.
We do.
Well, what do you think these comments are saying?
Well, they're
saying,
other comments.
You haven't got the political will. As late as October 2017, the US Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin said terrorists were continuing to use both the charity and money service sectors in Qatar for illicit financing. Why haven't you cracked down on that?
No, absolutely. And Mr. Mnuchin, a few months ago, was in Qatar, met with His Highness, and actually made remarks that are to the contrary of what you just mentioned. In addition to that, January 2019, we had the second strategic dialogue between Doha and the US, and in that very dialogue, the joint communique that came out of it actually commended Qatar for its actions against terrorism.
What matters, Lولوه, Qatar, are results, doesn't it? Let's actually look at some of your results, because you have treated your terror suspects with extraordinary leniency or carelessness, and I wonder why. Let's take some examples. Ibrahim al-Bakr was released from jail after he promised not to conduct terrorist activity in Qatar. This was a man who had plotted military attacks against the US military bases in Qatar. Powerful punishment. Promise to be a good boy and we'll let you out of jail.
Tim, I'm afraid that you're not even giving me the chance.
I'm dealing in facts.
So, exactly, and I'm dealing with facts. So
you're dealing with comments, I'm dealing with facts.
No. What I said are facts. The fact that the State Department said that Qatar is ahead of its neighbors, this is a fact. The fact that the name that you just mentioned and the only 4 names that we have on designated list as Qataris, they had actions taken against them years ago, not only today. Those are the facts that you know, you should put in consideration.
Okay, let me give you a few more facts, Lولوه al-Qatar. Let me give you a few more facts. Let's look at Abdul Latif al-Kuwari, arrested in 2016, supposedly served his sentence under house arrest, very nice and comfortable, for coordinating the funding between Qatari financiers and Al-Qaeda. Serious charge, just a few months at home. This is a joke, isn't it?
No, it's not, because there is something called rule of law. How many designated people are on the US list? You have US citizens, for example. This is called rule of law. The people that you mentioned are on watch lists. There is a huge difference between being on a watch list. This means you're a suspect and there are no charges that were proven against you.
The question is how effective your actions are. Really?
No, the question is
how effective
they are. Very effective, and they are in compliance, absolutely in compliance with the UN Security Council measures. Can you tell me what those measures are?
How effective was it for Saad al-Kabi? The US government said you'd shut down his terrorist fundraising in 2014, but by 2017 the Treasury noted that he was still actively involved in financing al-Qaeda a year later.
I'll tell you one
That's
thing.
An effective measure.
Tim,
that's an effective measure.
It is very effective. Do you know what the UN Security Council measures are against people who are designated?
It's not up to me to know
No,
what it is.
No,
I'm dealing
there
with
are three
facts.
measures.
I'm dealing with facts.
No.